Okay, so I went into the city and bought the KFC Double Down. In Australia, it's called the Double, which is sort of a rebranding of the American Double Down you get at KFC. They seem to be marketing it as some kind of manly sandwich, but you know, I've been researching this Double Down thing for a while now. It's like, call it what it is. It's a Double Down. You're in it for the meme. You're not in it for the, sandwich, as it were. You're just after it for the meme value, which was what I did it for. Now, first thing about Australian fast food is, let me get this for you. This is a Games Workshop range ruler, right? Now, at maximum, Australian food only reaches about 6 inches in terms of how tall it tends to be at maximum. In America, I've seen burgers. When I visited America, right, when I was a kid, went to Disneyland, LA and stuff, the food was slightly taller at 5 inches in some cases. Do you see what's wrong with this? Yeah, I bet you do. Because my mouth is only about that wide. And some of the home-style burgers that you can buy over there are this tall. This is not the optimum size for fast food. And it's a problem. In Australia, it's sort of different. The Double Down in Australia is only about yay tall at maximum, as it should be. Now, it is nowhere near as greasy as the American version of Double Down, and for that my stomach is grateful, because it looks far more appetizing than the American Double Down did in initial pictures I saw online. And I suspect so, yeah, it's a limited time gimmicky thing. It's kind of a reasonable thing to expect. Though. Yeah, I looked at it like, oh crap, they've got Double Downs in Australia, I've got to go see this. And when I did, I looked at the thing, it's like, okay, this thing isn't too hot for me to actually hold. I could eat this. And here comes the important part. The important part is that I was actually physically capable of taking a bite out of this thing without having jaw problems. Yeah. So basically, this sandwich is edible in the ways that it should be, as opposed to being a challenge meal. Like, you've ever seen Man vs. Food, where the guy goes around America trying to eat the biggest food? It's pretty gross. But it serves its purpose as being, if not a satire of American food, then a general unintentional satire of what the hell's wrong with American fast food. I mean, it's so large. But anyway, the Double Down, I liked it. But once you get past the idea that the Double Down is nowhere near as greasy as I expected in the Australian, because a lot of the greasy, gross appeal is lost in translation from the American edition. Like, sometimes, you know how Mad Max got American dubbing when it was transported overseas? Because Americans were thought of not being able to understand the local language. Well, this is the situation in reverse from the American Double Down. The American Double Down has been watered down. That's what it really is. The KFC watered down from the American version of this original sandwich. Yeah. It's essentially watered down an original sandwich. And in a way, the watered down version works, but in a way, I'm also disappointed that I wasn't repulsed by this meal. I mean, I was expecting an unholy creation, but somehow, like, Australian farmers somehow managed to make the Double Down not repulsive enough for people to not buy it. People were buying this thing all day in that KFC that I was in. And basically, it's a meal. The Australian KFC chain have actually figured out how to market an unholy creation of sandwich meat made out of chicken breast and bacon and whatnot. And they actually make it into a decent meal alternative to what you'd normally try. And that's commendable, but I'm kind of disappointed, you know. I was thinking, like, finally I get to taste this abomination, and when I get to taste it, it's not an abomination. I mean, I expected far worse, far worse than what I actually tasted. And maybe I'm just used to, from my memories of American food when I was on holidays, it's like I was expecting far bigger, far more crassness in the largeness of the food, but yeah, it's really the only thing the Double Down has going for it is the shock value, is that it's like the human centipede of sandwiches. Once you get past the idea, it's not as shocking as you think it really is. I mean, they came up with a good concept of a meat sandwich with meat for bread and more meat in the middle with some cheese in there, but, you know, once you've tasted it, where do you go from there? I don't know. It's like, I feel that my days of trying to taste decent American fast food in an Australian form, it's like this fast food has become an adapted screenplay, like Gore Vidal's adapted screenplay for Caligula. In this same, it's like the Double Down is Caligula, but it's like Caligula in reverse, because it's like it would be like if what Caligula would be if Gore Vidal actually got his way with that. And that's what the Australian Double Down really is. It's a far less horrible version of what I've heard the American Double Down is. But, I mean, I'd recommend the Australian Double Down, no holds barred. I'd recommend it as something to try as a gimmicky thing. But I don't think it's going to have lasting value, apart from internet meme status. I'm going to close this review by saying, when I asked about this, when I first heard about the Double Down, back when it was popular in America, the KFC people denied it existed. They claimed to not even know what the Double Down was. And now I know, yeah, things, once you see a trend in America that's sort of reasonable but not too offensive to Australian health standards in terms of what is acceptable in fast food, now to the fat tax laws and all those kind of things that are going on now, you kind of notice that we get the less innovative gimmicks in our value meals, as opposed to the monstrously horrible features like the supersizing, which Australian McDonald's has never done. And basically, I feel like I was deceived by these workers at KFC, but not really, because I don't think the average KFC worker is as internet savvy as the consumer of particular connoisseur meals like the Double Down. But the version that we got, I'm not complaining too much about what we got with the Double Down, which was translated as the double, as a sandwich. I mean, it is what it is. And you'll probably want to eat it once, and it's like, you know what, go out and try it. Just eat it once and experience something new. That's what I'm going to say.